Zane Martel and Victor Quinn quickly whirled around, bowing to Mr. Busher before vocalizing their confusion.
Mr. Busher, you said that the courtyard of the Four Sides Dragon Envoy must be extraordinary. But how big is this place? I can see the entire place at a glance, and there isn't even anything resembling a courtyard here.
You aren't going to tell me your extraordinary is just another word for sleeping on the street, are you?
You'll know if you keep looking.
The corners of Mr. Busher's mouth curled up, and he deliberately kept them guessing. Mr. Busher took a few steps forward and put his hands up in the void, as if he was groping for something. The next moment, one of his hands merged into the void and disappeared completely.
Holy Mother of Dragon, what just happened?
Even Zane Martel's expression changed. It was at that exact moment Mr. Busher's arm disappeared that Zane Martel could clearly feel a space fluctuation nearby, as if there was a second small space nearby.
Aha, found it. Come in with me.
Waving his hand, Mr. Busher took a step forward and merged into the void. Seeing this, Zane Martel and Victor Quinn quickly followed. As they passed through the area, they were awestruck by the spectacle in front of them. Before their eyes was a golden beach, its sand soft and mellow. Beyond the beach stretched a vast ocean, its surface shimmering like diamonds under the light, waves gently caressing the shore. On the other side of the sea rose a towering snow-capped mountain. Zane Martel's keen eyesight could discern water cascading slowly down its slopes, feeding into the sea. It seemed this ocean was formed from the accumulated snow and water of the mountain. Behind them sprawled a vast expanse of land, stretching endlessly into the distance, its boundaries indiscernible.
Mr. Busher, this is not my courtyard, is it?
Zane Martel's eyes widened in disbelief.
Why it is, the Four Sides Dragon Envoy is the leader of the Dragon Envoy of Carlton. It goes without saying that they have their own independent space. This space is called the Newland Space. It was created as an extension of the Carlton Dragon Palace. It's not the largest area, spanning only 10 kilometers in width.
Zane Martel was stunned. He had never imagined that his own courtyard would actually be 10 kilometers wide. This was no courtyard. It was more like a small fief. Moreover, as soon as he stepped in, Zane Martel could sense that the vital energy here was many times denser than in the outside world. This was especially true of the ocean, which seemed to hold an immense reservoir of vital energy, far surpassing normal levels. Threads of vital energy rose from the sea, filling the sky and soothing Zane Martel's pores as he absorbed its essence in large gulps.
The treasure of the Newland Space is the waters of Sky Mountain. They are infused with an abundance of vital energy. Cultivating here for a day yields the effect of practicing outside for 5 days. However, the Newland Space permits the Four Sides Dragon Envoy to reside here for only a year. Once that time elapses, it will revert. To extend your stay, you can offer a substantial amount of crystals or complete missions assigned by the Carlton Dragon Palace. But remember, the next Dragon Envoy of Carlton selection marks the limit. Beyond that, you'll have to withdraw voluntarily.
Mr. Busher continued to explain, and Zane Martel nodded, realizing this space was anything but empty. Zane Martel felt a surge of excitement at the possibilities offered by his new domain. He envisioned crafting his courtyard exactly to his liking, and expanding the land to cultivate valuable spiritual herbs needed for his alchemy.
Well, this is where my introduction ends. After I leave, the Newland Space will automatically belong to you. At that time, no one can enter except you unless you allow it. You can rest assured. A friendly piece of advice. There are quite a few people who are eyeing this space. You might want to amp up your vigilance.
Eyeing this space? Can it be given to someone else?
Zane Martel was puzzled to learn that the Newland Space could potentially be transferred to another, but only with the owner's consent. If anyone sought to seize it forcibly, they would have to confront the owner directly. Indeed, there were several individuals coveting this space, including the other Dragon Envoys of Carlton and the previous Dragon Envoy of Newland. Having enjoyed its benefits for so long, relinquishing such a prime cultivation environment would not come easily. Seeing Mr. Busher off, Zane Martel and Victor Quinn took to the skies, eager to explore their new abode.
Let's go, Zane Martel. Let's tour around my new home.
Aye.
They flew towards the plains behind them, covering about 3 or 4 kilometers. Looking down, they noticed the vast expanse of fertile land, perfect for growing spiritual herbs. Another 4 kilometers onward, they reached a hazy gray boundary, the perimeter of the Newland space. Along the border, they soon arrived at the sea's edge. A gentle breeze carried rich vital energy as they descended into the sea. Zane Martel and Victor Quinn plunged into the clear, pure waters, noticing a school of small fish darting nearby.
It's amazing that there's life down here.
Indeed.
Rising from the sea, they flew towards the distant snow-capped mountain. Upon reaching its peak, they felt the biting chill and witnessed snow cascading down, melting into streams that fed the sea below.
If this is Sky Mountain, then the seawater must come from here.
Zane Martel pondered the unique properties of the Newland space and speculated on the distinct characteristics of the other Dragon Envoy's domains.
I need to find a way to bring over the specialties from the other 3 spaces.
As he contemplated, Zane Martel realized that the other envoys likely had similar thoughts, awaiting his appearance to act on their own plans. Time passed quickly. After sending Victor Quinn away, Zane Martel inspected the Newland space once more, and the focus of his inspection this time around was on Sky Mountain. The mountain covered an area of at least 1 or 2 kilometers. Freezing though it was nothing he couldn't handle. This time around, he searched every inch of land studiously and literally left no stone unturned. Having released his willpower, he explored as he walked. The space had once been inhabited by a living being, and it was inevitable that they would leave behind some kind of booby trap. After all, everyone coveted the Newland space. Suddenly, Zane Martel was stunned. He stopped and looked at the white snow on the left, frowning all of a sudden. It turned out he had missed this area when he scanned the place with his willpower not too long ago.
This is strange, very much so.
Zane Martel slowly walked over and used his hand to push aside the top layer of snow, revealing the grayish-black soil underneath.
What? Formation? There's actually a formation here.
Zane Martel's expression changed drastically. Under the soil, there was a formation with a radius of more than 1 meter, on which runes were squirming. It seemed that it had been cast for a period of time. According to the flow of time, it was very likely that it was left behind by the previous Dragon Envoy of Newland. Inside the formation, there seemed to be a narrow passage that was hiding something. However, he couldn't decide if the thing in the formation was something that the previous envoy had dropped, or if it was deliberately left behind to keep an eye on Zane Martel.
Leaving this thing here is only going to weigh on my mind. No, it must be destroyed.
Zane Martel suddenly clenched his fist, and his arm suddenly bulked up as it transmitted a frightening huge force that firmly landed on the formation. The entire Sky Mountain was trembling and the ground was about to crack open. Because of this movement, an avalanche was triggered. It quickly cascaded down from the top of the mountain and buried thousands of miles of ground. Seeing this, Zane Martel could only fly into the sky for the time being, but his expression became a little solemn. The punch just now could have almost broken through the mountain, but it hadn't dissolved the formation the slightest bit. It seemed that it was impossible to break the formation the tough way. Otherwise, the mountain would be destroyed before the formation could.
It seems that I have to find time to look for some books on rune formations, and I can also find out the meaning of the runes I got from the semi-dragon fingerbone.
Zane Martel silently imprinted on his mind the location of this formation. He searched the surrounding area again and confirmed that there was only one formation before leaving. Standing on the beach, Zane Martel put his hands on his waist and said quietly,
The Newland space is nothing short of a wonder, I'll give it that, but it's too barren. It seems that I have to spend a lot of effort to beautify it. But first, let's build a courtyard.
Zane Martel immediately took out all the materials from his storage ring with a wave of his hand. What he needed to build a courtyard was just stone and wooden planks, and there were plenty of such materials in his storage space. Swoosh! Appearing in front of Zane Martel was a huge rock that was more than 50 meters tall and 10 meters wide. This boulder was found in the storage ring of a disciple of the giant devil sect that he had killed before. The faint, vital energy emitted by the boulder was almost negligible. it was likely that the original owner of the boulder had intended to use it to build a courtyard. Zane Martel rose into the air with the sky-killing sword in his hand and brought down the sword. Swoosh! The boulder was cut, smoothly and cleanly, in the middle and split in half.
Go.
Zane Martel struck out dozens of times in a row. Each time he struck, a corner of the boulder would be cut off. Soon, the originally uneven and bumpy huge rock was directly cut into a square stone by Zane Martel. A few more streaks of sword energy fell. When the sword energy landed on the boulder, it was as easy as cutting through tofu. There was almost no resistance from the stone. Pieces of flat and regular stone slabs were cut out. Then, Zane Martel took out some huge trunks, which were also in someone else's storage rings, and cut them into wooden planks. Soon, Zane Martel built a courtyard that covered an area of more than 500 meters with these stone slabs and wooden planks. There was a master's room, 3 guest rooms, and a courtyard. In addition, there were all kinds of cultivation rooms, pill refining chambers, and so on. By the time he had finished building the courtyard, the sky had already darkened. Calling it a night, Zane Martel hit the sack. He decided to go around scouring for some good-looking furniture when the dawn broke and slightly decorate the small courtyard. After that, the makeover would be done and dusted. The next day, Zane Martel left the Newland space and walked out of the microcosm where the Carlton Dragon Palace was located, heading to Blood Lotus Island. However, while he was flying, he did not realize that a black shadow was following closely behind him. The black shadow was wraith-like, disguising its aura as if it did not exist, having blended in with the air. From a distance, it looked like an unsuspicious black cloud, nothing more than a harmless spirit. Zane Martel strolled around the island and bought the necessary furniture, flowers, and plants. He then returned to the Carlton Dragon Palace and entered the Newland space. The shadow followed Zane Martel until it saw Zane Martel enter. Only then did it turn around and float in the opposite direction of the north. There was nothing in the north of the mountain but a small space in that direction. It was none other than the Beastland space belonging to the Dragon Envoy of Beastland, one of the great Four Sides Dragon Envoys. The black shadow suddenly merged into the space. As Zane Martel's vital energy shot out, all kinds of furniture flew out of the storage space and landed in the area where it should have been. After that, he planted a few more artificial mountains and plantations on the nearby land.
Not bad. I finally completed it. I only wish I knew more about landscape aesthetics. It would be the cherry on top if Suchu were here. She could come with me to decorate this small space.
Zane Martel muttered to himself.
I've been away from the northern demon country for quite some time now. I wonder how everyone is doing. Looks like I'll have to find some time to go back and settle my old affairs. But everyone should have received the news that I've been appointed as the Dragon Envoy of Newland. That should at least deter the pseudo-royal family from making any moves. It should be safe during this period.
The title, Four Sides Dragon Envoy, carried a connotation of reverence and esteem, and it was something not on the same plane as a run-of-the-mill Carlton. Hence, if the demon god sect knew that Zane Martel had become the Dragon Envoy of Newland, they would have to think thrice before making any moves.